Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are reviewing an E36 BMW M3. The owner for us has done quite a few mods to this car. I'll put the full list in the video description, but this is a sedan, aka M345, which is M3 4-door 5-speed manual. This has Schrick cams, active Autowerke titanium headers and mid-pipe, KW coilovers, a bunch of chassis stiffening mods, a lightweight flywheel, short shifter, fully built engine. This is an S52. When stock, it made 240 horsepower, 236 pound-feet. With all the weight-saving mods that Forrest has done, he's gotten the weight from 3,100 pounds down to around 2,800. The most interesting mod, though, is the power steering delete. These cars originally came with hydraulic rack and pinion steering. This is just fully manual. Let's see how this thing drives. Now, we just finished filming all 6 generations of BMW M3. We didn't use this example for the E36 because we did have access to a bone stock example, which just made more sense for comparison. But now let's see what happens when you throw some mods at the E36 chassis. Does it make it feel sharper? Because the stock E36, it's a bit of a lazy car in some respects. The steering, the suspension, nothing about that car is particularly precise. Throw a few bolt-ons, some coilovers, some weight savings, and you delete the power steering. What happens? Third gear. Well, the engine sound certainly wakes up. The stock engine sounds good. It has that silky smooth BMW straight 6 goodness, but it's a little muted. It doesn't really open up at the top end the way the E36 M3 does, for example. But what Force has done here is given this a little bit more engine character. Now, how about this power steering delete? It does make this car much more of a handful on corner entry. You do have to grip that steering wheel quite a bit harder. Now, this short shifter really does improve the shift feel. That stock E36 shifter, classic BMW, rubbery, and the throws are just too long. The steering feedback is noticeably better now. There's still a little bit of on-center slop, but it definitely is more direct, and it wakes up really nicely in the corners. Let's do a little first gear pull here. Not crazy fast. The stock E46 will walk this all day long, but the bolt-ons and tune definitely have opened up this engine just enough. But the highlight is this unassisted steering. Definitely feeling a lot more of what's going on the road. I mean, you can tell just from my steering inputs mid-corner, it's more talkative, way more talkative. And also, because we can hear the engine better, and because the shift throws have been shortened dramatically, it's easier to drive this car hard. You can fire off those heel-toe downshifts a lot quicker. Even the upshifts are a lot easier now. Oh, at low speed though, this steering is a handful. This car was never designed to have manual steering. Straight line performance is still a little bit lacking though. Having hopped out of so many amazing M3s and M5s, the E36 I've always thought was kind of the redheaded stepchild, at least here in the US, because we got this detuned engine. But in terms of the chassis, KW suspension, bolt-ons and a tune, and weight reduction, this is now a really fun to drive little M car. This manual steering is hilarious. Going over bumps through high-speed corners, it does really want to wrestle itself out of your hand at times. but I wouldn't say it's too heavy. I think at speed, this weighting feels just right. But if you were to get this thing sideways, I could see it being a detriment to the drivability of the car. The stock E36 hydraulic rack is already a really good steering rack. So I don't know if this mod makes a ton of sense if you're planning to drive this car at and beyond the limit, because that's where you lose some of that control because of this extra weight and because of the amount of, call it, unwanted feedback that's coming through the wheel. But when you're driving at 7/10 on a back road, this manual rack feels really good. Love the throttle response of the S52 engine. Made even sharper by a few mods. Caught up to Kevin from the Jabal & Cars YouTube channel, driving that G80 over double the power of this E36. But I doubt he's having more fun, because this E36 is just so raw. It's visceral. I should have picked up an E36 back when they were $10,000. Really kicking myself in the foot for that one. Nowadays, a clean example, with reasonable mileage, you're looking at 15 to 20 grand. Now this one has 198,000 miles on it, so it's not exactly mint, but Forrest has actually kept it in pretty decent condition. There's some interior wear and tear, but you can tell he drives this thing. It's meant to be driven. That's what M cars are all about. They're not meant to be garage queens. This KW suspension also doing a great job. It makes the chassis respond a lot better to my inputs compared to the stock suspension, but it still maintains a pretty high level of compliance. Overall refinement of this car is still pretty high. Even 25 years later, this is a car that I can see myself driving every day. So with that being said, let me know what you think about this E36 M3 build. If any of you have depowered your E36's hydraulic rack, or on any car for that matter, is the extra steering feel worth the increased weight and some of the harshness that now comes through the wheel? A big thank you to Forrest for letting me review this M3. If you have a cool car you'd like me to feature, please shoot a quick note to the email listed in the video description. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.